I've been there. You see a cheap copy of a classic Les Paul on a sale rack, you think you're getting a deal, you bring it home, and after a couple of riffs the neck feels flimsy, the tone is thin, and you're left wondering why you spent the money at all. The regret of buying the wrong guitar sticks with you longer than any cheap pickup ever will, and that's why I wanted to see if the Gibson Les Paul Standard 50s figured top in ocean blue actually lives up to the Smart Buy hype or if it's just another pricey flash in the pan. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're standing in the shop, the first question is always the same: will this guitar hold up when I'm actually playing, not just looking at it? The Les Paul line has a reputation for thick, warm sustain and that iconic single-cut silhouette, but the market is flooded with lower-priced imitations that try to copy the look without the nuance. The real test is how the instrument behaves in the everyday settings you'll actually use: a cramped bedroom practice room, a small club stage, or a home studio tracking session. That's the angle I took when I dug into the Gibson Standard 50s figured top, because the cost is high enough that a misstep feels like a major financial misvote. First off, the body. It's a solid mahogany slab topped with a figured maple that's been finished in a translucent nitrocellulose lacquer. The ocean blue hue isn't just a gimmick, the thin lacquer lets the wood breathe, so the instrument retains the natural resonance of the mahogany while still looking like a piece of art. When I plugged it into a modest 50-watt amp and strummed a basic blues progression, the low end was thick enough to fill the room without any additional EQ. The mid sang, and the high frequencies weren't harsh. That classic Les Paul warmth you expect from a Gibson is there, and the figured top adds a subtle brightness that keeps the tone from becoming overly muddy. The pickups are the Burstbucker 1 in the neck and Burstbucker 2 in the bridge, both using Alnico 2 magnets. These aren't the high-output, metal crunch machines you find on many modern supersaws. They're designed to capture the vintage character of the 50s PFs. In practice, that means a clean, articulate tone that responds nicely to picking dynamics. I tried a clean jazz chord progression and the notes were clearly separated, with just enough sustain to let each chord breathe. Switch to a crunchier overdriven setting, and the bridge pickup gives you that gritty bite without sounding thin. The downside? If you're chasing modern metal or high-gain modern rock tones, you'll find the output a bit restrained, and you might need a boost pedal to get the aggression you want. The neck is mahogany with a rosewood fingerboard, and the trapezoidal inlays add a touch of vintage flair. It's a 50s style profile, a little chunkier than the ultra-thin modern necks you see on some competition models. For players who have spent years on a thinner feel, that can feel like a readjustment period. In my own case, after a few songs the extra depth actually helped with string bending. The thumb has a solid resting place, and the feel supports both fast runs and expressive vibrato. The downside is the weight. A full-size Les Paul tops out around 10 pounds, and this one is no exception. If you're a gigging musician who has to stand for long sets, you'll notice the heft, especially on a tight stage where you can't shift your weight around. The included hard case is sturdy, but it adds to the overall transport load. Now, let's talk about the bridge and tuning stability. The ABR1 Tune-O-Matic bridge paired with the aluminum stop bar tailpiece is a classic Gibson combo. In daily use, the bridge stays solidly in place even after aggressive digging into a solo. I spent a full afternoon switching between standard tuning and drop D, and the intonation held up without any noticeable slipping. The deluxe vintage tuning pegs are smoother than the cheap stamped metal ones you find on budget models. They turn cleanly and give you a firm grip. That said, the bridge isn't a tremolo system, so if you need a whammy bar for surf or certain experimental sounds, you'll have to look elsewhere. Practical strengths, summed up in everyday language, this guitar delivers a reliable, vintage-inspired tone that translates well from bedroom practice to live gigging. The figure top finish looks premium and doesn't sacrifice resonance, and the hardware provides stability for players who demand consistency. The included hard case is a genuine plus. It's not a flimsy gig bag but a rugged shell that protects the instrument during travel, something you rarely get on lower-priced alternatives. On the flip side, the practical weaknesses are just as important. The weight can be a fatigue factor for long shows, and the neck profile might be too thick for players used to modern slim cuts. The Burstbucker pickups, while sonically authentic, may leave high-gain players reaching for an external boost. Finally, the price point is a reality check you're paying for.